one for movies and stuff like that in church for microphones. And then there was there was one standard. Then there was one for choir and one for movies and stuff. And just now, I was thinking with the one for the microphones here work better. And it just keeps clicking and making little noises, and then it makes the little noise for going back to normal. And I don't know what you do.
Okay.
It's just another bed.
Gotcha. You like yours better, the new one that you got now? It's much more comfortable.
Yeah, this one's better. And this has got those little adjustable things, like you can pull one string for your chin.
Well, you know, on the news, I don't think it's last night, not before, it says these things are not very effective. They're effective to some extent, but they still allow, that's more effective.
Don't sneak.
Yeah, I have. That's what I think about. Or spit.
Shut up. Good Lord. Gross.
Oh, are we ready?
Yes, okay. Okay, I believe we're all here and it is 6 o'clock, so we'll call
So I couldn't hear you.
to
I
order.
don't know what she's gonna do. This is my dead ear though.
Is everybody on that needs to
This
be on
one's
the
dead.
screen?
I believe so.
Okay, well this is good. So
Can ask. Yes.
I don't see anybody missing, although I'd love to see Niles' dog, but maybe later. Okay, we'll call ourselves to order, and I'll ask for an adoption of the agenda, please.
I moved that we adopt the agenda.
Oh, wait,
Oh,
we have to make an amendment to it. We have to just,
Oh.
we talked about, we have one thing we need to
Okay, so
add.
we
Sorry.
need to add and then we'll adopt the amended.
Yes.
Sorry about
The
that.
only thing that we're gonna add is number 5 under Public Works, surprise, surprise. There's an addition, to add issues with the, 3-plant coating in the defective work. Is that on the
Yes.
new agenda you guys got? Okay. All right.
So
I didn't
it's
know, it
already
wasn't on
there.
mine. I remember Jamie changed it, so we're good.
Okay, so it's really not amended, it's
No,
just the
I'm sorry.
agenda as presented. So is there a motion, we'll backtrack, is there an adoption of the agenda before us?
I
I'll make
moved
a
we adopt the
motion.
agenda, yes, again.
Okay,
Sorry.
she moved
And
and
I'll
you second, and we're all in agreement.
Yes.
So, okay, it's adopted. Thank you very much. Heather, are you handling any kind of public comment that we have?
We do not have any public comment. I don't believe, do we, Chad? Nope.
Oh, okay, so Chad, generally, are you the one that would be handling that if there is?
I did know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This telephone.
All right, well, then we'll move on to item number 3, the consideration of the minutes of our August 13th, 2020 meeting.
I make a motion to adopt the minutes.
Okay, there's a motion to adopt the minutes as
Second.
and we're all in agreement, correct? Thank you, so the minutes are approved. That will move us to item number 4 with our Michelle Ball, who is with us this evening, zooming in. So Michelle, we'll yield to you. We're glad to have you with us.
Can you hear me? I want to make sure my equipment's working.
Yes, it is
Cool.
working very nicely.
Okay, this is going to be information you heard back in June. Unfortunately, there was a mistake made when we did the closeout for the public hearing for the Peterson Trailer Park CDBGI project, and it was more in the dollar amounts. There was $4,754.27 that was the town had to give back to the to DEQ. And when I did the public hearing, I did not include that amount. So they're making me redo the public hearing. So if you'll bear with me for a moment, let me read my little spiel. Purpose of the public hearing is to give the opportunity for citizen input concerning the closeout of the Burnsville CDBG Infrastructure Grant 16I-2915, which is the Peterson Trailer Park Sewer Line Rehabilitation Project. The town received a total of $900,000 in community development block grant infrastructure funds from the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality to aid in the replacement of sewer lines within the Peterson Trailer Park located off Fox Love Road. Replacing its 40-year-old Orangeburg piping. The project consisted of the installation of 2,000 linear feet of 8-inch sewer line, 1,842 linear feet of service lines, 18 new manholes, and 52 service connections serving 45 households. CDBG funding must assist areas that have at least 51% low and moderate income, or which is less. Low and moderate income folks make less than 80% of the county median income, which for Yancey County right now is $35,350 for a 2-person household. And this project area had 89.3% low moderate income. So almost 100% of the applicants were well under that income level. The project's completed, came in under budget. Again, the town received $900,000, and the following was expended during the program: $523,786.87 for construction, $163,370 for engineering, which included design and construction oversight, $82,161.54 for administration, which included environmental review and the engineering report as well, for a total of $769,318.41 spent on the total project. The unexpended funds in the amount of $130,681.59 will be deobligated, and it stays in, is returned to DEQ and used for future CDBG projects.
Okay, so Michelle, are we just reviewing your presentation and we adopt it in October, or what are we doing here?
Well, this is just a public hearing for any public comment, and it's more an update with correct numbers is what it is. The last one we had was the numbers did not include that $4,700.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we do at this point in time is we open the public hearing on your presentation.
Yes.
Right?
And we did not receive any comments on the email regarding the public hearing, so we have no comments to read for that. We will keep the comment section open for 24 hours, and then we can approve the closeout at the next meeting.
Okay, so are you clear with that, Michelle? We approve the closeout at the October meeting?
Okay.
We've had no comment, but we will.
We have to keep it open for another 24 hours since we're doing all this virtual stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so do you have any questions for us before you leave us?
I don't, and I might stick around to hear the updates on the OMC and the Meadow Road
Sure.
projects.
Well, you stay with us as long as you like.
Okay.
Okay,
And
so,
thank you for making accommodations for me tonight. I would have loved to have been down there, but I just wanted to stay close at home.
well, we hope all is well with your mother.
Thank you.
So, is there a motion that we close the public hearing?
I move we close the public hearing.
Okay, so we're all in agreement, I'm sure. Okay, well, thank you very much, Michelle, and we'll approve the closeout in October, the October meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. We'll move now to Dylan, who has a lengthy report on numerous items for us. So, Dylan, we yield to you, sir.
All right. First on the agenda is the OMC pump station force main project update. OMC pump station bid advertising went out last Monday, and on the 13th of September we will be holding bids. Force main project, Hyatt Pipeline is going to be boring under the road not this Saturday, but the following Saturday is the projected timeline to start that.
So with that, since we have gotten approval from the state for our funding, the numbers changed somewhat. We had initially talked about, when we met last, about a figure of 1.7 million, but they had to reconfigure the pricing when they got actual numbers. And so it actually will be in the amount of 1.42 million. And what I need from you all tonight is a resolution for your intent to pursue reimbursement for any expenditures we make. We need to legally ask for reimbursement from the loan proceeds for the engineering we've already had done and the emergency repair work we've had done. We need a resolution declaring that we intend to seek those funds.
Okay, so we'll open the floor for a resolution for our intent to reimburse for those funds.
And I just need a motion and a second and
Yes,
a
so is
vote.
there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. You second it, and are we in agreement? Okay, so the resolution passed.
All right. Thank you. Turn it back over to Dylan.
Dylan,
Okay,
you may continue.
The Meadow Road Indian Trail project update. Meadow Road is completed, as I said last time, 2 weeks ago, I think. Indian Trail project, they are past, what is those apartments? Paradise Apartments. So they're about halfway up the road there. Well, I guess if you, Paradise Apartments up off of Boone Ridge. So they're equal in that line. They're up past that. I think their contract, they have 5 more days on that. Once that is complete, they will be paving both Meadow Road and Indian Trail at the same time. The crew that is currently working on Indian Trail will be pulling off once the boring is done on 119 for our force main, and they'll be laying that line. So that'll be good to go. Before we do the presentation on long-term with McGill, do you want to discuss the whole,
I
last
think
thing we did last?
I'll do that. Do that after Let McGill since
Okay.
they're here.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
MJ or Mike, you want to take over on this?
Hey, Dylan, it's Mike here.
Hey,
Hey, there's everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
Trying to get everybody on the line. I think MJ's on. Karen Keenan is going to be joining us too, but she's having some trouble getting logged in. So I'm just going to tee it up for MJ and let her kind of take over since she's the brains behind the wastewater plant work that we're working on. So MJ, if you want to go ahead and look over, do you have a PowerPoint presentation for them to look at, or how are we doing that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I think Dylan already printed out all the handouts.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just really quick go through what we are trying to present here. Overall, the long-term repairs. You know, the short term for the 0.3 MGD is in the process, and so we're considering that is just a temporary fix. So we're trying to, have some different alternatives for the long-term plan. Basically, make sure both treatment plans running and give certain the wastewater plan certain degree of reliability and feasibility based on which options you decide to pursue. So the alternative A basically is one phase. So we're gonna do one time expand the headworks, rehab the 0.5 and treatment plant basin and build another similar size treatment. So give you similar size treatment basins, and at the same time convert the 0.3 to an equalization tank, which can dampen your peak hourly flow. So with the combination of your I and I rehabilitation, will give the plant more flexibility treating the rainfall high flow events, and also remove the contact basin, chlorine contact basin out from existing treatment trains, just for the better performance concern, and also OSHA. I mean, soon you have gonna convert your liquid to I'm sorry, from a gas chlorine to the liquid chlorine, and also dechlorine. And another thing is meeting the DEQ requirements for the contact time for disinfection. Same reason, build another dechlorine basin to give you enough contact time. And I just mentioned for the safety reason, trying to convert the gas chlorine to liquid chlorine, and same for the dechlorine. This is just overall give you some kind of concept, what we are trying to do. Gonna have to move around certain things and make sure we can fit a new treatment plan. And then I'm gonna just kind of skip through the slide. And so overall, the cost, it's about $4.235 million. And the advantage of this one, like I said, you give you more process and operation and flexibility, and definitely you get more consistent, treatment performance. And then you only have one construction process, and so it's single contract fee, and also whatever deficient we get right one time. And of course, it's maximize just design life. And negatives is it is high initial capital cost. You can see it's 4.235 million. And also will be a relatively longer construction period because you are putting in a new treatment basin there. You moving things around and building new chemical tanks. And so the next alternative we're proposing is a phased plan, which means the phase one we're still gonna do the header works, and we're gonna rehab the 0.5 million gallon basin, and then we're gonna construct a eco tank. And think this option, considering the rehab work you are performing on the 0.3 tank, so and do majority work for the 0.5. And so I'm trying to just skip to the next slide. So for this phase, and we will have about 3.03 million, construction costs. And I have to remind you, in this phase, a lot between 1/3 to 2/3 of the capital cost, construction cost, will go into the temporary treatment, because this small treatment, the 0.3, cannot handle the whole plant flow. And so when you're building, take the point as a larger treatment train offline, you're gonna have considering to handle, the whole treatment flow, which you have to get a temporary treatment plan because the space limit. So we have to put the temporary treatment on the opposite side of the current location, and that involving a lot of piping and temporary pumping. So that portion money will go towards the construction, and you're not gonna have a return. And for the phase two, since we're doing basically by that time, for phase one, we're not touching the concrete. I mean, we're gonna keep the chlorine basins in the existing trains. So for phase two, we are going to remove these and build a new chlorine contact basin and new dechlorine basins, and then also do some other upgrades, and then once again convert gas chlorine. And once again for this phase, because you still have two different size treatment trains, you're gonna have to have a temporary treatment plant again, as I just talked early. So overall, for phase two, it's about $1.8 million, and kind of already mentioned early. The positive, yes, you can spread a capital investment in two phases, and you will have a relatively good effluent quality. And also with your I and I reduction projects going on, we may able to change the phase two scope. And so the negatives, you're gonna do two constructions, so you have multiple contract fees, and between phases, maybe 5 to 10 years. So by phase two, certain capital investment or equipment needed to be upgraded again. And again, the major the major downfall of this one is you have to use temporary treatment during the construction. And because the two treatment plants are not equal size, so you don't have the process and operation flexibility for maintenance and emergency repairs. So in the summary, we understand the town is trying to get Golden Leaf funding for $1.5 million. So this table just gives you some idea what additional fund you have to seek for these different alternatives. Hopefully I'm not going too fast, and you have any questions, just
Is it under alternate B that we have to bring in a outside system? Did I misunderstand that?
yes, temporary treatment.
What is that cost that,
We got quotes from two different manufacturers. One comes back, it's about $1.25 million for 9 months. So for this option, we actually consider maybe you just need 6 months. So it's very fluid cost here, because we cannot, say exactly how months the construction, will last. So the other one is about a little bit cheaper. So the first one is about $140,000 each month. The other one is $116,000 each month.
So you have that with either, whether we choose alternate A or alternate B, there's an outside system that has to function for us.
No,
For alternate
Okay, it's only under A or B.
B.
it's only
Just
B, you've got two phases in B. So for the first phase, it's gonna be about 100 and, did you say 60 a month?
yes, 116.
116.
Mhm.
But up to 140.
Yes.
Right. For the temporary plant to work, if we divide this project into two phases. So each time we do a phase, we're gonna have to get one of these
So,
rental sewer systems.
so is that cost is not factored in, or is it?
It is factored in.
Okay,
Yes.
so how is that?
And that's why the estimate for alternative B, which is the phase approach,
Yes,
is $4,854,000.
okay,
And then the cost estimate for
okay.
alternative A is 4.2.
Yeah.
No, Yes,
She got
What we pay for.
That's basically.
and that's basically just money for the temporary tank. We would not reap any benefit from that going forward. Because they would eventually remove the temporary tank. And one of the things, MJ, correct me if I'm wrong, but the fact that because of the limited amount of space, we have that additional property on the other side of the road.
Uh-huh.
And that's where the temporary would be set up, and we would have to run a pipe from it back into our current system to treat the sewage.
But we still have to do that treatment, alternative treatment with either plan,
No,
just B.
just B,
Okay, so
but for each phase of B.
there's two, phase one, phase two, so, but
A is doing everything at one time, and we do not have to rent the temporary treatment plant.
so why would we not go with A versus,
Well, I think
Oh, the initial.
because of the initial cost, you would have to find a way to borrow all that money up front. And I know Karen from McGill is gonna talk to us about what she's looked at in terms of financing options.
okay,
And then I guess Jamie and I can talk a little bit about the Golden League process and some
Okay.
conversations that we've had too with people
well,
about
I'm sure
financing.
we'd like to hear that, so.
So,
But I guess before we go to her, any questions for, who's the lady?
MJ.
MJ? Anyone have any questions before we move to the financing aspect? Okay, so we'll move right on. Okay. Are they ready to move forward, Dylan, or what are we doing? Who's gonna talk to us about?
Mike, are y'all still there?
Yeah, we're still here. Karen, are you
Okay.
on?
I didn't know if Karen got on or not.
She said she was on, but it looks like she's muted.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Okay, so we're ready for her if she's ready for us.
Okay. Well, as I have been in conversation with Pam Hysong with USDA, and she mentioned that she had conversations with you yesterday or the day before.
Is
Am
it
I-
yesterday or the day before, Jamie? They all run together at this point.
I know.
Yes,
So-
but we have had a conversation with her.
Recently.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Recently. So, would you like to talk about that one first?
Sure.
Sure, why
Okay.
not?
Okay, so USDA can potentially provide an infrastructure loan and loan grant combination. They will calculate grant amount based on your financial calculations and poverty level calculations, median household income. So they cannot give us those calculations until we provide them the financials. I provided Pam with as much financial information as I can at this point. She has a copy of your median household income, your poverty rate, the 2019 audit. So she has basic information that she is going to be taking to their staff in Raleigh, or is going to be sending to their staff in Raleigh, just to get a first kind of overview at this point in time. She is, so that is, if we meet the poverty level, you're looking at a interest rate of 1.125. So or 1.25, which, did I say that? 1.125. So it's 1 1/8%. If we can get the numbers to work out right to meet the poverty level interest rate. This project would go in after their federal new year, because we could not complete all the work necessary to meet the current year's deadlines, which is September the 30th. So what we would do is, and the interest rate gets adjusted every quarter. So there would be a new interest rate come October the 1st, but based on the past 6 to 9 months, I do not believe that that interest rate would go up at this, being that we're in a COVID economy. So one other option is to pursue funds through the Department of Environmental Quality. They have a similar program through their SRF program. Their interest rates are potentially very similar in that you can do a 30-year loan with them, and within that, there is the potential to reduce your loan by 1%. So they're both similar, and what I usually will do once you've made a decision on what you want the project to look like, we can do an analysis of the financials, one compared to the other, so that you as a board can determine which option you want to pursue.
And Pam, I'm sorry, I called you Pam. Karen, the term on the USDA, I guess, revenue bond in the end is 40 years, correct?
Correct. It is 40 years.
And then for the state fund, it's 20.
They will go up to 30.
Okay.
Okay, so 20 to 30.
And there have been projects recently that we have been able to negotiate with USDA to get their rate down to 35. But generally it is, in general, they will say 40 years.
Okay. And Mike or MJ, when we're looking at the length of time to do either of these alternatives, I mean, for alternative A, which obviously in the long run is cheaper, you know, what would be the time frame for completion of that project?
MJ, you want to take a shot at that one? I have my thoughts, but I think you're probably closer to it than I am.
Okay.
I would think it's probably around 15 to 18 months.
Is that for construction?
Yes. For
Yeah,
construction.
that sounds reasonable.
So for design, probably we're talking about 6 months, 4 to 6 months design.
For alternate A?
For alternative A, you're saying 12 to 18 months to completion?
No, it's 15 to 18 months for construction completion.
4 to 6 for, so
It's
total.
probably 2 years, Heather.
2 years. Okay. I'm just thinking in terms of, you know, the process with USDA is if they approve us, then we have to get a bridge construction loan from a private lender, is my understanding. And that would be an interest only payment, but I don't know how long they're going to wait, you know, that a private lender would be agreeable to, you know, having that construction loan, I guess, in place. But if you're saying the construction phase would only be 12 to 18 months, then that probably could be doable. I just wanted to check on that before USDA comes in and knocks them out.
Okay.
So what's the construction time for B?
And then they would like to know what we would be looking at in terms of time if we went with a phased approach, with phase 1 and phase 2 under alternative B.
So phase 1, where actually right now the cost is based on probably 9. I would be more conservatively 12 months. The alternative A is more 15 to 18 months. So the alternative B phase 1 probably 9 to 12 months will be more realistic.
And then phase 2, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, depends on the scope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably something similar, Heather, probably in the same ballpark. 15 months.
So this is Karen. Can I jump in?
Please do.
Yes, ma'am.
So what impact that would have, just to lay everything out there as plain, so that there's no surprises, to phase the project from a USDA's perspective, because we just went through this in another community, your construction loan from a private lender with a higher interest rate would go the full 2-phase period. So you would be carrying a construction loan through a private lender with their interest rate and payments, and USDA would not start until the completion of phase 2.
And would that be a similar process with the state funding?
I don't believe so.
I believe so, yes. So the difference, if it makes a difference for you on making a decision, in option A, USDA's would come in and start making the payments as of the completion, which it sounds was 18 months. Is that right, MJ?
Yeah, ballpark.
So if you went to the phased process, you would be paying a longer period of time to a commercial lender.
And Karen, and that's something that we could do as part of our analysis comparing the two funding options.
Yes, we can do that. And then in that process, I'll pull up what the private lender's interest rates are at this point in time.
Okay, so we can establish kind of an estimated timeline and use that to compare the two options from a funding standpoint.
If that's what the town would like us to do, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I think we need to look at the financing part of it before we make a decision on which way we're gonna go. That would be my recommendation.
So is it a possibility that if we went with alternative B to get Golden Leaf funding for both phases? Or is that just?
No, that's.
Your shot at the Golden Leaf money is gonna be, and that's sort of, I guess, the reason that we're having this conversation, in that if you want the opportunity to bring the $1.5 million from Golden Leaf into this project, it's gonna have to come in now. This cycle of funding that this particular Golden Leaf grant is out of does not come up every year. The last time I think that they had this particular grant program was probably 6 years ago. Ordinarily, you can leverage Golden Leaf money on sewer projects, water projects only if you have a particular economic development project you're tying into. So there's an opportunity to make an argument, articulate a case for them to fund this project, but only if the rest of the money is there to complete either the phased approach or the full.
But I think they're gonna wanna see some type of a commitment from the board that if they fund, that we're going to go for it. And we don't have to decide on what that mechanism is certainly tonight. We don't wanna do that, but
So
we do need
Golden Leaf, that's what I'm.
Golden Leaf LOI has to be in
October.
What, I mean, 1st of October, or,
Yeah.
so then we make a decision tonight that we're committing, or
I
What are
think
you
it
saying?
means you would have to, in the narrative to the Golden Leaf Foundation, we'll have to say, this is the total cost of the project. And this is where the other pieces are coming from. Now, they're not gonna hold you to that, because this is the original letter of inquiry. If they invite you to make a full application in January, then, things may shift, your funding source, it may be USDA as opposed to SRL or vice versa. But they're gonna wanna see that, or the total column tally.
Initial application is a little broad.
Right.
It's just a letter.
You're gonna have to get into
Saying-
and find budget in January if they invite you to apply for that full.
I think we need to make a decision. I mean, we don't want to lose out on the possibility of getting 1.5 million.
no, we certainly don't, I mean,
We're up against.
that would be an opportunity that won't come our way again.
I wasn't following me because of this stupid hearing aid. I was not following because of my hearing. The first engineer's total explanation. But am I understanding that alternative A is permanent, is a permanent fix, but B and B's
No.
B is, explain that.
All of
What
it's
is
a
this
permanent
temporary
fix.
thing?
This is, what has to happen is, and MJ can help me out if I'm wrong, or Mike, but what happens, Bunny, is if we do the whole project at one time.
Is it
So if
in
you're
the
going,
long, yeah,
your house burns down and you're gonna
Gotcha.
build the whole thing back at one time, then there's one price, and it's,
in the long run, is it gonna be more cost effective?
it would be. It
Okay.
would be, I mean, in terms of looking at these numbers. And the reason that there's a difference in price besides building the whole house back at one time versus building half of it here and then waiting and adding on in 2 years is that you still need the space, right? So you're gonna have to pitch a tent, is your temporary housing, is what I'm saying. Your kids are going to go live in a tent while your house is being halfway constructed. So in this process, we will have to rent to the tune of $116,000 to $160,000 a month, a temporary treatment plant.
But it is something that will be removed eventually. I mean, we're not gonna keep that thing.
No. That when the project's over and it's done, that goes away.
That's
But
what
we
I'm
have,
saying.
if we cut this, but if we don't need that part, if we build it all back at one time, that goes away.
Well,
We don't, it's not part of our project.
Stop right there though. Why would we not do alternate A?
But that's what I'm saying. In the end, we're renting something. But we're not gonna keep that thing. Am I not right?
We have to rent it because we have to treat our sewage
I
while the
know, that's
construction
what
is
I'm
going
saying.
on.
But
But we don't have to use it in alternative A. We don't
No, I
have to
know
rent
that, but in alternative B and whatever, it'll eventually be gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
We-
the
we've
temporary
rented it.
will be gone.
The tent's gonna go.
Right, the
And
tent's gonna go.
But the monthly cost also goes.
That's
Yeah.
what I know it, but I'm saying, but if we went with alternative A, that goes into alternative A, it
We
goes
don't have
into
that
something
extra
we will
cost.
have forever and ever.
Right,
That's what my point.
yeah.
Plus
You're-
potential.
So why would we not go with alternate A?
Well, I think today we're not this, I mean,
know,
we just
but
need
I'm
to
just saying realistically, I don't understand why would we look at alternate B when money-wise, it behooves us to look at alternate A?
If we can, and I know what you're saying is, I mean, if we can get our money together, if we can somehow get the golden leaf money, and if we can then somehow manage to afford the $2,700,000 other dollars.
The initial upfront cost is
Yeah, that's what
substantially lower. But
Yes,
after 18 months, after phase one is complete, you gotta turn right around and go into phase two.
yeah,
So you're gonna spend an additional $600,000.
but it sounds like maybe if we can get this USDA money at a lower rate of interest and not have to pay for the commercial loan, blah, 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 the interest. Am I right?
You would
You
have to
could,
carry,
and I defer to Karen, but you could qualify when USDA makes their financial assessment of your situation for a chunk of grant money. They'll look at your rate structure and other things and determine, you may qualify for a portion of that money in the form of a grant. I think USDA will assess what you can pay back. In your structure. If you amortize that, if you qualify for USDA's best rate, which is, as Karen said, the 1.125. For every million that you borrow under debt service over 40-year terms, about $31,000. So you'd be looking at about $90,000 annually in debt service if you did that.
Well, I mean, but Jamie, wouldn't Golden Leaf look more favorably at us going with alternate A? Assuming it's all.
I would not read their mind, but I would tend to think it's probably a safe guess to say that they would prefer to finance a complete project than finance part.
Well, I would hope we would too.
They have given us grant funding on phased projects before, and they may again, but it probably does make for a better, more persuasive argument, particularly since this grant application is competitive. So
Well,
it'll have
isn't
to
it
be,
very competitive?
yeah,
So,
it'll have to be scored in light of other, and I've asked around what some of the other counties and communities that are applying, and then some of our neighbors are doing water and sewer infrastructure projects as well, or teeing those up for funding out of the same pot. So that seems to be where a lot of folks' thought process is.
And the completion time is shorter.
Right.
Yeah.
I
mean,
so Golden Leaf is looking, I mean, their deadline is in October,
No.
do the presentation in October.
Well, we have to submit a letter of intent to apply in October to Golden Leaf, and we'll describe our project. Quite frankly, I think when you describe that project to Golden Leaf, you probably also want to throw in the money that you're applying for your I&I project, the $2 million. I think the larger, more comprehensive you make that project look, the better it is, because your match, even though you're not required to have one, it does score better if you're bringing money to a project. And I think Golden Leaf would like to say, here's the town of Burnsville got these issues, we're doing these things to deal with them, we're addressing I&I, we're addressing wastewater treatment, there's $2 million in I&I, and we're asking Golden Leaf for $1.5 million, and we're prepared to incur the debt service on the balance. Makes a persuasive argument.
And it makes us, we're committed to doing something about our sewage and our.
So whether Karen said it or you said it, we're
Karen's
not
here.
making a decision tonight? I mean, why would we not?
Well, we have to she's gonna give us some more financial information on what each loan pot might look like. Maybe USDA looks good, maybe the state fund looks good since they'll push to 30 years. I mean, I think we want to see those numbers. I think tonight we can just say, for purposes of our Golden Leaf letter of intent, that we want to move forward with this project and that we are committed to finding the funding in addition, whichever plan we choose.
Well, basically, I would envision our response to Golden Leaf would be, we're asking you for $1.5 million, and the town of Burnsville will secure the rest on a revenue bond. We wouldn't specify where that's coming from, whether it's SRF or USDA, but it would be some form of debt service.
So that would be our motion to make, right?
I think so. Do you have more, Karen, you want to add?
One thing, I think, to help you make that decision, what I can do, and Mike and MJ, see if this makes sense on your end. Do two things. It sounds like, look at the timeline for submitting applications to the proposed funding agencies and what their award dates are, so that you can line up that part of it as to when you could potentially start construction, to try to match those timelines, and also put together the financial comparisons so that you have a full view of what timelines you're looking at and what financial, how each one compares to the other. So a good financial comparison and a timeline comparison.
Yeah, I like that idea, Karen.
Okay. And I mean, could we get that by our October meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm curious, Jamie, what is the deadline in October with Golden Leaf to submit our intent?
I would like to have all of the ducks in a row 1st of October. I think it's October. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. 7th, maybe 20th.
So it depends on what we do in early October that moves you in a direction.
I think he can move in a direction tonight.
If I'm hearing from you that, yeah, you want to move forward.
Our meeting's the 1st of October.
I'm saying we can't make a decision. I mean, I don't know why we can't.
We can make a decision that we want to move forward with this.
Right.
Whichever, and that'll give Jamie.
Right. That's all we're asking. You don't have to choose which option at this point. We just need to, because we want to see the financing options for both, and then we can, but all he needs to know is that we're committed to this project.
So I need a motion in that.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Are we all in agreement? Okay, so the motion carries. Is there anything else we need at this point in time with this?
Jamie, do you need anything else?
I don't think so. I think really the only outstanding items with Golden Leaf and would be discussed with Mike and his crew would be completion of the PER, the final draft of the PERs.
Okay,
I know the Golden Leaf rep who's handling this has had an interest to see what the total project is going to look like cost.
Right. So we don't have the final PER from them yet.
well, would like to thank Karen and the others for your assistance with this presentation tonight.
You are certainly welcome.
And I apologize for my challenges with getting connected.
Oh, well,
It's
you came
okay.
through, and MJ, thank you as well.
Thank you.
And thank you also, Dylan. So,
Thank you all.
thank you. More will follow.
Okay.
We'll move on to your next item.
Well, East Main Street sidewalk, nothing there yet. I'm still getting, waiting on third quote on that, so that'll be next month.
We also did have a discussion with Lynn Austin with the county today about the county partnering with us on this project, since a portion of it goes down by the courthouse to their parking lot below the courthouse. And she wanted Dylan to get some figures on what the county's portion of it, their side of it, would look like. So we hope to have that back by October. But she seems receptive to the idea of them partnering with us and paying for this. So, of course, that's all up to her board, but she wanted to see the figures.
Well, that will
So that's
be very
good.
helpful.
And then NC Warm, basically it is a emergency response mutual aid. So for instance, when our OMC pump station went down and we were struggling to get pump trucks here, MSD actually sent us a couple of their pump trucks to help out. So essentially what it is if someone was to get sick or the whole entire water plant got sick, that we could reach out to people that are part of NC Warren, and they would send their guys to help us out, vice versa. No cost. I just need you guys' motion to approve that if you don't have any questions.
It's a wonderful opportunity.
It's like a mutual aid.
Yes. So we do need to make a motion that we're willing to become a part of NC Warren.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second it. Any further discussion? Motion carried. Yes. Thank you.
Now for the blasting.
Yes. Do you want to kick that off, Dylan, or
I
do you
can.
want me to talk about it?
I can kick it off. So Genesis was putting on. Well, they had sandblasting company come up there sandblasting, and excuse me, they were using water with the sandblast to keep the dust down, which caused the metal to flash rust, and it created an issue with the Tnemic product. So they were halfway done. The Tnemic rep came out and took a look at it, and the rep was not happy with the surface rust there, even though the painters that were putting it on there was brushing it down and vacuuming it all out and stuff like that. The Tnemic rep believes that needed to be taken down further to near white metal and then primed same day. And then as they moved on, being primed behind it. It was not done that way. And we have more kind of information between McGill, Genesis, and ourselves.
So basically, Genesis has, as Dylan said, they did the sandblasting part where they took the rust off the tank. They used the water. It created some surface rust. And then there were some other places that they didn't feel like there was enough rust taken off. And Tnemic is the company who makes the coating. And they basically said, we're not going to warrant that this coating will perform properly because the sandblasting was not done properly. So it's a defective, basically, work that has been done. And under a contract, the contractor needs to fix that. The Tnemic rep contacted McGill. engineers. And Jay with McGill, who was here with us last week, contacted Genesis and said, you need to stop. This needs to be fixed. So we've had conversations back and forth with Genesis. They submitted a proposal. The cost for that portion of the project, totally finished, was $99,323. To date, we've paid them around $22,319.
Is that just on that line item?
That's on that line item. And that's where we're figuring it. I mean, their payout came in, but based on their numbers, they're saying that they would like $72,500, and then there's another $4,500 outstanding. So when you do the math, out of that payout that we did, about $22,000 of it.
They basically do about 25%.
About 25% of it. So what they have asked for is a couple of things. They would like payment of $72,500 out of that, the remaining money. They would take that money and have the work redone to the specifications of TNEMIC and the contract with the engineers. Then they would not charge us anything more. So it's sort of like paying them up front. So they have the funding to redo the mistake. They had asked for some additional time. They had also asked that should there be any damage to the tank as a result of this second blasting, that we would agree to change orders to repair if there was any holes or something like that. So we've had some back and forth. You know, my position was, first off, you know, I don't think, let me start here. Under the contract, we can sit here right now and say they have to fix it. We're not moving. We're not giving any additional funding. We're not fronting any money, anything. They have to do it, or we're going to make a claim on their bond. But that's going to take time. That's going to push us way back in our timeline. So in talking with Jay, and under the contract, McGill is the administrator of the contract. They're our representative, so we go through them. In talking with him, you know, we don't feel like it's reasonable, number one, that we would have to pay for any damage caused by the second blasting. Because if they'd done it correctly, they bid the project knowing what the tank looked like, knowing the process of the blasting, what they were going to have to do. And they should have factored in those types of foreseeable issues, in my opinion, on the front end. I don't believe that this is something that's unforeseen, like what we had with the contact chamber, where when they took the walkway off and they looked down and they realized it was just destroyed. And they had no way of knowing that ahead of time. I don't think that's the situation here. I think this was foreseeable, and I don't think we should agree to any change orders at this point should something happen with the tank due to this second blasting. The next issue about the money, I don't think we should pay them the entire amount they're asking up front. You know, if we gave them half and they were able to do the blasting and TNEMIC said this looks good and McGill said this looks good, then we could pay the other half. So I would not be in support of just handing them $72,000 right off the bat before we saw some kind of, you know, satisfactory job. Exactly. And then as to time, you know, in talking with Jay today, their time frame, their deadline is October 1st. If they go past October 1st, we're entitled to liquidated damages in the amount of $500 per day. I don't know that initially we should give them any more time. He feels like if they got started, they could finish it within the time frame. If we get to October 1 and they still have some to go with the total project, you know, then we can negotiate about those damages.
Have they been in a complete standstill?
No, they've been working on the other aspects of the project during this time. And I think Jay told them today to get mobilized to do the work. I mean, they're gonna have to do the work. And it just depends on if it's sooner rather than later, somebody's gonna have to do the work. So what I would like is just, some authorization to work this out based on what I've sort of outlined to you guys here and see if we can get this thing back on track and moving. I would also ask them to get their bonds updated so that any time issues or things like that are not in any way a prejudice to the town if we eventually had to file a claim.
So you need a motion from us just to approve, giving you the authority.
Just to move forward through Jay, to move forward with trying to get this worked out.
Yes.
Along those similar lines. Now, like I said, they could come back and say, well, we need more than half to get this started, but
It sounds to me like they're willing to complete the project.
They are.
They're not asking for additional money.
No.
I would even go as far as to say, we'll give you half now. Once that portion is complete, if you want to do an intermediate pay application to get that additional, if it's not at the first of the month, if you really need that money, because I'm sure they're paying a sub to do this.
Yes.
If they're in that bad shape and they want to do an intermediate pay app, if it didn't really mess Leslie up to get that, probably instead of drunk rise, but it sounds to me like they're willing to finish the project.
They are. And I mean, this is just one of those unfortunate things. I don't, there should have been some communication on the front end. I think more than with them, with the sub and Tanemic and what needed to be done in order to, but it is contractually, and I'm not saying this in any way against Genesis. I'm just saying contractually, it is on them.
It is.
I think we all would agree with that.
But yeah,
there's a large sum left on their contract.
Yes.
Above these lines.
And I think, and Mike, are you still on?
Yes, ma'am.
I think to date, we've not had any other issues with the work they've done. It's been.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
Right. And I know you and Jay have talked about this, Mike. Am I misstating anything?
Nothing at all. No, I think you covered it pretty well.
Okay.
So I guess we just move forward to give you the authority to work it out.
In any direction that you want. I mean, Russell's idea of an interim payout, we could certainly
And
make
if Jay has stated that no additional time should be granted, then, he knows, because if they've had time to if they've worked on other portions of the project during the per se downtime of this particular portion, then I don't think any additional time should be granted. And we'll leave that up to Jay.
Well, I think I move we let you handle it as you stated and not give them that full sum, but what you think is advisable till they finish it, as it should be finished. Until it's a satisfactory job, as we said.
I'm assuming they've paid their subcontractor for this work probably, and that's the reason that they're asking for it.
I think so.
Most likely. Okay, so Bunny, is that your motion?
That is my motion.
I'll second.
We're all in agreement.
Okay, so Mike, I'll send this over to Jay tomorrow morning and he can talk to the contractor. I know he has been in contact with him today.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for your good work.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Does that conclude you, dealing with Heather as far as?
Are you done?
So,
Yeah,
Something else?
that's all I got.
that's not much. Obviously, you've been busy. Thank you, Dylan. And I guess we'll move on for you to finish up your.
Oh, yay. All right. I'm next. So COVID-19 update. I'm going to let everybody know, if they don't already, that the governor announced on Tuesday afternoon that we'd be moving into phase 2.5, a new phase. And pretty much the bulk of what's changed is the limit on the number of people you can have inside and outside at mass gatherings.
Excuse me for interrupting, but how long does this phase 2.5 last?
And that, I don't know. I don't know if he put a date on it. I think they're gonna look again at the numbers.
Okay.
Then initially, the phase we were in, the order we were under, was supposed to last until the 11th. So I don't know if he's gonna come back in 2 weeks and say, here's where we are now. But he did lift some of the restrictions, opened up some more things, bowling alleys, people wanna go bowling, gyms, that sort of thing.
Finally.
So I know a lot of people are glad to hear that. How that kind of pertains to us is we've been meeting in this room and live streaming our meetings and closing it to the public. If we're gonna be able to have 25 in a room, I guess I'm putting forward for your consideration that we move our meeting in there. We allow the public to come back under guidelines of social distancing, mask wearing and that sort of thing, and for public comment and listening to what we're doing. If we get above, with us included and whoever shows up, 25, we would have this room as an overflow where we could space people out and bring them in as they wanted to speak, but sort of moving forward to letting ourselves open up to the public.
I think that would be a good move for us to make.
Y'all wouldn't have to remember you're on TV.
That's right. So how do you all feel? Are you okay with that?
Oh, I think so.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Well, it helps with public hearings and presentations
It does.
if we can have a live body. Okay. So, utility payment plan, we sent out notices to people. We ask them, come in. We're required by law to offer you this plan. I think we've had one, maybe two people that have taken advantage of that thus far. So we're going to do a little bit more work in light of what Jamie is getting ready to talk to us about. Very graciously, he met with his board, with the Yancey Foundation, and they have agreed to supply funding for $8,000 up to $8,000 for grants for people who are having a hard time due to some kind of COVID situation, to use that towards paying off their water bills for the months that we were under the moratorium for cutoffs. So we have this memorandum of understanding that went out to you guys between the town of Burnsville and the Yancey Advancement Foundation. They're basically going to give us the money. They've supplied an application, which is a small one-page sheet of what's required to qualify. And then we'd have the money and we would move it to credit the customer's account if they did qualify. A part of this requirement, I will tell you, is that the customer pay their July bill. And then they can get up to $300 in credit towards their arrearages. So, we'll be asking tonight for you all to approve the memorandum of understanding based on those terms. And then at the end of October, we'll give an accounting to the foundation, and any money that has not been spent, we will return to their COVID response fund so they can use it for other purposes.
that's a wonderful.
And we will be sending out letters to any of our customers who would qualify for this assistance. We'll have delinquent accounts in that period between March 31st, 2020 and July 29th, 2020, and ask them to please come in. A very few, most of them would be covered, but that have any kind of a delinquency, but a very few may still have to have a small payment plan for some additional arrearage. But if it gets them in, we can talk to them and work something out. That's always better for the town to get the money. So we're super appreciative to the Yancey Advancement Foundation for helping us out with
We
this.
certainly are, Jamie. Please convey
And
the appreciation.
Jamie, if you've got anything to add.
No, it's our pleasure to be able to do it. I realize, it's a hardship for folks who are challenged if they're out of work and that type of thing, but it's also a hardship for the town and other local governments as you try to navigate the impact on revenue and that kind of thing, particularly at a time when every little bit helps with your water and sewer efforts.
That's for sure.
So and I appreciate Heather making herself available to meet with my board and with me ahead of time, and Leslie and Kim and Jackie, who sort of looked at what your situation was and tried to craft a grant program that would be both really fair to those folks who need the assistance, but also structured in such a way that hopefully you're not carrying a large number of payment plans, which was the reason we tried to tie it to payment of the July bill and actually catch people and put them on better footing moving forward. That way we can get in, hopefully your account holders will take advantage of this, minimize the number of payment plans that you have outstanding out there, catch up to some of these delinquent accounts, and then we can all move ahead on a little bit short footing. Now, particularly our folks out there who are wondering how they're going to make utility payments and rent and that kind of thing. So it's our pleasure to provide the assistance for sure.
And this assistance is for qualified residential accounts. Business accounts, as Jamie has stated in his press releases, will still have the option of borrowing funds if they need to through the COVID response loan program.
So we need a motion to adopt the memorandum of understanding.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make that motion if someone would second it.
I'll second.
Okay, are we all in agreement? We are. Our thanks to you and Heather both for working this out. Thank you.
And the last thing I have is just a quick update on our water leak protection program endeavors. In addition to looking at the serve line proposal, we're also looking at what some other communities are maybe doing in line with this. I have sent an email to Karen Malonzi at the School of Government asking for some guidance on these type of programs, and she hasn't gotten back to me yet. She is teaching this financial class that I've been in for the past 2 weeks in the mornings, and so I think she's probably a little busy with that, but I'll reach back out to her if I haven't heard. We still plan on having our October public hearing, get some information closer to the time out to people about the serve line program, whether they'd be interested or not. I will tell you that since I had Jackie look at it today, since our last meeting on the 13th of August, we've had 7 leak adjustments to the tune of $5,800.
And in 800 for a total of $800.
No, for a total of $5,828.
And there's another one coming.
And there'll be another one. We now just had one pop up, but it is an ongoing problem. Yeah. So however you guys choose to handle it, through a private insurance company or working out some kind of other policy, we definitely got to do something.
So Heather, our public hearing will be at our October meeting, is that correct?
Yes. We'll invite the public in to give, input on how they feel about it.
Well, that'd be good that we'll be in the larger room.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you very much. You and Dylan have been extremely busy lately, so thank you both.
Everybody has. Town has been very busy.
Yes, lots of problems, or lots of issues, shall I say. Thank you both for your good reports. We'll now move on to our department updates, and Jeannie, we'll start with you, please.
Okay, well, on taxes, I understand that we will probably have bills out tomorrow, so maybe sometime soon the money will start coming in. And then on this resolution for surplus, I'd like to table that till next month, because there's a lot of things that we're trying to scoop up, things that are not useful anymore, things that are broken. So we can table that, that'd be good.
Well, it's tabled. Thank you.
Y'all sitting on it.
Okay, so that concludes your reports, and we'll move on to you, Leslie, please.
Okay, I sent the budget versus actual out overtime report in email earlier or Friday. I don't know if you have any questions. But first of all, let's see. I have the budget amendment. This is kind of an interesting thing that we've received some money in times past from people from vendor
from sponsors for events, for town events. This one was, Jack, can I say their name? No. Okay, well, there was a certain local business that actually wanted to make a donation, but wanted it actually to go and through the chamber to do a square event or some kind of seasonal event.
Is this not for our music activities?
I think anything like that they want to do with their money, yeah. But it's just, we're just a pass-through agency at this point. So all I'm doing is actually increasing the public, community promotions revenues and the community promotion expenditure line, just so I can write the check to the chamber.
So I guess before, I'm finally, but I'm a little confused. We get the money to give to the chamber? So what you're saying?
That's the way we took it when I made the donation, is that it's for,
Okay,
I mean, it may be different from what this time this year, but it's just, the way it is, I think.
well, I know that we requested it to come to us, but that's okay. Okay, well, I hope that they in turn will give it to us for the musical events on Friday afternoons that we requested it for.
Maybe they'll just actually pay for it.
Well, it's fine. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Everyone agreeable with that? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Continue.
Okay, and the next one we have is the project ordinance for the fire department. I'm not sure if I'm working this out. But it's for the cement stabilization. I just didn't have it on it last time. And figure we might better go ahead and do that because we just went ahead and tabled it. So.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the concrete stabilization.
We'll just amend the project ordinance.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
project ordinance. Is second? Okay, are we all in agreement?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And the next one is the actual project ordinance for the OMC dump station rehab at Forest Main improvements. That we've been talking about. Just got an updated budget, and it's 1.142749. And I've broken it out and tried to clarify everything. It's for both projects, what it is, each year, and then contingency, and then what the actual construction of the pump station repair and the portion repair is. And then our reimbursement, or we've actually had to pay out for this increase.
Okay, so we need to approve that amendment. Now, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Second, okay. We agree, it's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, any questions for Jeannie or Leslie before we move on to our fire department? Thank you, girls, for the reports. Niles, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. The floor is yours, or the screen is yours, whatever.
To the operations side, we had the 30 calls this past month. We're up to 306 calls for the month. That's some for this last month, so that's a little bit of a relief. On the buildings side, they did get the pad form for the Bay area last Wednesday. Rough and plumbing's been done on it. I did speak to Randy Banks yesterday or this morning. The metal building's scheduled to be delivered about midweek next week, and the plan is to go ahead once it's delivered and start construction immediately and get it. I think the company's planning to not have a delay there, so hopefully that'll move along quickly. We did meet with the interior designer to look at the kitchen design. Got some fixtures and appliances and that sort of thing yesterday. We got colors and that kind of thing to the tile and the countertops away today.
Niles, we're having trouble hearing you. Can you somehow adjust something or?
Well, I don't know what I can adjust. Can you hear me now?
That's great.
This is much good. We can see you better and maybe hear you better. Thank you.
The interior designer we designed a little bit in the kitchen area about appliance placement and sink placement thing yesterday. We got the colors and the countertops at a little later date. Hopefully, Randy will be able to get the administrative portion going as soon as they get the building up for the Bay Area. Yes, he's waiting on that so he can make two together. So we're just still waiting a little bit till they deliver the building and get it up.
The building? Waiting on the building.
Yeah, they're delivered.
Yeah.
I knew it was expected. Okay.
Well,
Piece that together.
well, progress, we're moving along.
We're moving. We're moving.
That's good. So any questions for Niles or comments? Well, thank you for keeping an eye on everything and keeping us updated, Niles.
Well,
Okay, we will move on to Brian. It's now your turn. What is your backdrop this time?
This is my back porch here.
Yeah,
A lake house that I have.
we're so glad you could join us.
Thank you. Under my updates, the time clocks are mostly completely implemented. We're still having a little issue with the sewer plant, getting those online, connected to the other ones, but they're still using them to get the other clocks. Everybody else has pretty much switched over to the new time clocks without too many issues. The second item on there, we're going to need to table. We've had a problem with, it's actually not a Dodge Charger, it's our Ford truck, their four-wheel drive vehicle. The engine has given out on that, which we thought it was our better vehicle for the winter time, but now it's, so we're looking into what would be the best option to try to either replace that, but looking at what you can buy for that type of money. The kind of money we may have available to replace that with, and we're looking into what the options are as far as finding a used motor and having that put in, because the rest of the vehicle is fairly solid, other than the engine. So we're trying to look at options, and we'll bring that back to you in October, which way might be best spent for town to try to make sure we have a four-wheel drive vehicle for the winter time. The third option on there is the road closure. We normally, we haven't heard from the chamber. I know I think they just hired a new ED for the chamber, but normally the chamber sponsored event is Halloween on the square for the 31st of October. I'm not sure what phase we may be in at that point with the governor's orders, but during our staff discussion last week, we talked about it might be good to go ahead and try to put in, because we normally do a road closure for that event, to go ahead and maybe have town approval and send that in. And then if it's not needed, if the situation changes, we certainly don't have to close the roads, we can cancel the event, but to see if the town wanted us to go ahead and apply for that road closure, just so we would have it in case that event is a go.
I think the feeling would be is that we would want you to.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a remote chance that they are going to try to do Halloween, or is it just still up in the air?
I don't know, but I just, so we know that date will be coming up before we know it. So we thought we'd go ahead and, if the council wanted for me to go ahead and fill out that paperwork, send that in, and at least have that as an option.
So is the board in agreement? The board's in agreement for you to proceed.
I'll carry on with that. The last item, we received a request for the use of the stage. The candidate for governor, Dan Forrest, looking to come speak. I don't remember that date right off the hand. Do you?
19th.
The 19th.
19th.
Of September. And we had a request from I believe it's the Young Republicans that filled out the stage, or maybe it's just the Republican Party of the county, for the use of the stage for that event. And I told them that would be a council decision, and I would propose that to the council. So.
Is that to be on the square? I don't get open air. I guess
it is to be on. What is our general policy about the stage? for someone that's,
People give a stage, if they're being sponsored by the town, they get it for free, and we have $100 is in our policy. I mean, it's not our application to rent it.
It's also not set up.
it's what, generally?
It's also not set up yet.
Yeah. So generally, we charge $100 if the event is not sponsored by the town.
Correct.
That sounds reasonable to me, because it's
Whatever it is.
how do you all feel?
And I'll just interject one second. You know, we've had quite a few people through the past month ask about square use, reserving the square for something. Everything from outdoor yoga classes to baby showers to I've got to call somebody back from ETSU that wants to meet parents on the square or something. So, and what we've been telling them in light of, you know, the restrictions on gatherings and the COVID situation is that we've canceled all of our events on the square, and we know the chamber did the same, and we're not reserving it for anybody. It's a public place. Anybody can come and be on the square if they want to. I did have one other person call about a political event on the square, and I told them that they did not ask for the stage, but I just said we can't reserve it for you, so we can't say it's cordoned off for this particular event.
Yeah.
It is a public space, and if you want to use it and show up, I know when we had the prayer vigil earlier on, that they did not come through the town and ask for use of the square. They just put it out that that's where they were going to be meeting, so they came. But they didn't ask for the stage either. So again, just so you know, we're not reserving the square for this event. They've just asked for use of the stage, and I think they want it on the square.
I'm sure they do. So,
And there again, I mean, right now you're not supposed to gather more than 50 people. So how does that work?
Well,
50 people in open
First
spaces.
Amendment and religious, any First Amendment activities are not restricted by the they're exempted from the mass gathering restrictions. So
they get the square and they would like to rent our stage. And how do you feel about a fee or no fee?
Well, yeah, if they're gonna rent it, they have to pay the fee.
Well, I know, but I mean, it should be rented. It's my feeling.
And how much trouble is it to put it together? Is it like torn down for
It's
the winter time? Is that what happens?
It gets torn down at the winter time, but
It's
it's just
never been opened
hydraulics, so like, or electric, I should say. Push a button, it unfolds.
Oh, okay.
It wouldn't take very long.
Okay.
Okay, so are we in agreement about the rental fee?
Yeah.
We are. Okay.
I'll make them aware. Thank you very much. And then last I have no real zoning or code enforcement updates other than just normal inspections, and did a few certificate of occupancies this week. These past few weeks is all I've had.
Brian, did they give you a date when they would be coming for the stage?
It's the 19th is the event, so it probably ended up prior to the event, whatever that works best for town public.
Brian, do you know what time their event starts?
I'm not sure.
6. I think it said 6. It's on here somewhere. It's in our stuff.
Okay. Well, that's all right. Thank you very much. Thanks for your good report.
I think it's like 6 o'clock.
Okay.
6 o'clock.
Okay, we'll move on to Chad.
All right. I don't really have any updates on events. She mentioned the phase 2.5 we're going into, which does up our capacity a little bit. So for mass gatherings, it's 25 now for us. So we've got bookings, and we're just kind of playing them by ear as it goes, and they put out guidelines as this COVID situation evolves. The one thing we included in the packets is a list of policies that Heather and I kind of crafted. So if we get to a point where we can actually have events, we kind of lay out what we would be responsible for, what we would do, along with the renter, what they'd be responsible to do. And we kind of broke it down into before, during, after the event, and just trying to find a way to do this responsibly, safe as we can. So it kind of covers everything, and my thinking is that we kind of involve it as the way COVID evolves. have.
So I guess the cleaning of the center after a use would be more intense than it has been.
Right.
We did get our sprayer,
Yeah.
Yeah, Portland's got to fight that a little bit.
Good.
He's pretty fond of it.
and Brian got his for the cars too.
So will this new phase allow you to have some things?
Not, I mean, a little more than we could, but it's just.
You don't have anything in that number range?
At the entertainment venues are still closed, but we're sort of a multi-purpose thing. So if somebody wanted to have a meeting or a family gathering sort of thing
Yeah,
within
we're
those
having
guidelines,
three here and there, small gathering, few classes.
you know.
Have you had
classes,
any
that sort of thing.
inquiries since the governor took us into 2.5?
Not since that, but I could, if, say they opened us up tomorrow, I could have a lot of rentals. I've got a lot of the books, we just aren't able to do them as we go. They're all just kind of being booked with the understanding that we have to adhere to these guidelines.
I just got word through our fire chief that phase goes to October 2nd.
October 2nd.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's not
So we'll
long.
be able to open it up a little more to.
If our numbers keep going down, they should. I mean, we can hang on. It'd be great. It'd be great.
Okay, we will move, thank you, Chad. We'll move on to anyone on the council who has reports, and it looks like Denise does have something to share with us. So Denise, the floor is yours.
I do, thank you.
Yeah.
Great big thank you to Heather and Dylan for doing the walkthrough of the Briggs parking lot. And I just got informed tonight that, Dylan and his crew, especially I guess Jeff, cleaned up, so much of the parking lot and it looks fantastic. And I guess they're gonna start doing the lines next week. And then I'll have the volunteer committee, finish up some of the painting. So I think it'll be real great. And, as far as the search board goes, been really focusing on the census. And I think they incorporated Rotary Club to maybe help with them. And I've heard some of the Rotary Clubs are in different areas. And actually having the laptop and stopping people coming in and out of like Reconciliation House and different places and offering to take the 10 minutes and do it online with them. And I know Search also secured a grant and printed off a lot of flyers, banners, and put them between Yancey and Mitchell County. So hopefully that'll have a positive effect for the census in this area. And just the one last thing from the RTAC, the DOT maintenance building that was supposed to be built here in Burnsville has been pushed off to 2022 due to finances. And I think right now they're not really accepting any new projects.
Did they decide where they're gonna locate that? Because when I was on the board, they didn't know where it was gonna be. They thought it was gonna be somewhere in Burnsville.
It's supposed to be in Burnsville, and I will find out the exact area.
I didn't know it has been out at prison camp, but they thought it was gonna be in town.
I think it's supposed to be in town. I will find out for sure.
I don't even know if they know, but.
Denise, I don't remember you having that area cleaned up as public use.
Public parking. Yeah, and Heather had a great idea. Hopefully, maybe we can put a sign in that little median in the middle of the parking lot. So.
That sounds good. Okay. Thank you for that good report. Well, I guess that brings us back to you, Jamie. Somehow you're just all over the agenda, so.
Madam Mayor, and I think they had shared with you a little summary of the proposal that looks like this. From a group called Downtown Strategies, and I'll give you a little bit of a preamble to this. Downtown Strategies is a subsidiary of a company called Retail Strategies, and they're a marketing and business recruitment firm, a national firm, and they've sort of been on my radar for quite a while because they've worked some projects in the high country area, but they're known for one particular area of expertise, and that is that they do downtown business development strategies and actual retail recruitment for rural communities. So unlike some firms that concentrate in recruiting businesses to larger urban areas, their niche is business retention and recruitment to small communities and small towns. I had talked with some of their folks probably over the last 2 years since I've been in this position, hoping to figure out some way to work a project because they're a marquee group. They do great work. They're not cheap. And when I've talked to them in the past, their fee for service, which includes an evaluation of your community and then suggestions and follow-up on particular, where you need to put efforts in retaining your businesses here and what sectors you should be recruiting, is not cheap. Your fee usually goes from $30,000 to $50,000, depending on what the scope of work is. But as I say, I've been back and forth in conversations with them from time to time, just so they can keep us in mind if there's some way we can alter the fee structure, work with it in some form or fashion. I've sort of, it's been a big brass ring of mine to try to grab to figure out how we can get funding in place to work with them on the project. They called me earlier this week and they said, we have a USDA innovation grant pending, which will allow us to provide our service to 8 communities in the country, 8 small municipalities, at a rate of 15% of our usual fee for service. That's the match to the grant. We're shopping around people that we know we've worked with before, or people we'd like to work with and haven't been able to see if this is a structure that you can make work for your community. It's at our $30,000 fee. You'll get our fee for service at $4,500. And basically, that includes, if you look through this proposal, a pretty high level of market and demand analysis on the retail side, but also it includes a sort of 5-pillar evaluation, which is the Main Street program plus one, basically. The lady who leads this effort for this company is a lady named Jen Gregory, and she's known as one of the be-all end-all Main Street experts, usually speaks at the national conferences and that sort of thing. They really amplified part of this as Main Street plus the business market analysis. So instead of the 4-pillar program that you get, if the town has an interest to try to get back to Main Street in 2022 when that cycle comes around, this really takes care of that planning effort ahead of time.
Oh, that's great.
Plus, in addition to that, they're going to come in and make an evaluation of your shopping trends here, where the businesses that you don't need to be recruiting and the businesses that you should be recruiting. And the firm that they use for data analytics is so sophisticated they can actually track cell phone data for shoppers in a period of time. You can see, where your people are shopping. You know who's coming to Denise's store in the period of a year about cell phone locations. Kind of freaky. But it's a pretty high level of analysis. They'll come here. They'll conduct groups, charrette groups. They'll look at everything from walkability to policy administration. What are you doing in your downtown zoning revisions? At the end of the day, they're going to come up with a list of suggested goals, and those will be grouped by investment. So there'll be a list of, these are the things the town of Burnsville can do at no cost that we would suggest that they do. Here's a list of things that the town of Burnsville can do for this price structure, investment, so forth and so on. After the process is done, you have access to their staff for a full year to follow up in implementation. So if there's a business that you wanted to follow up trying to recruit, whether it's a franchise retailer or whatever, you have them at your disposal for a year to assist with that effort at no cost. The fee is $4,500. And what I had proposed in my discussion with Heather is that I would propose that EDC split that with the town if the town is interested in participating in this effort. So $2,250, you get a $30,000 product. I'm anxious because it gives us an opportunity to work with a group that I respect for the work that they've done pretty much throughout the southeastern United States.
Where are they? Where is it?
They're based out of Alabama.
Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, also too, joining with them or working with them, it would help us get a lot of the planning done for re-entry into the Main Street.
It would, and the folks that you're going to be partnering with are folks who are well known in the program nationally in that state. I thought we were not gonna get it because she was working her list of folks and she said, I've got 8 and I've got 4 in already. She called me on Friday. When she called me, I guess it was Monday. I said, give us the weekend to try to make some arrangements and see what we can do on our side, the EDC side. And then she called me on Monday and said, well, I heard you said you want in, but I'm full. And then she called me back and said, no, we had one community that couldn't make their commitment. And I said, well, just slide us in there and we'll get back to you when the council meets on the 3rd. And she said, that's fine. You let me know what you want to do. So we were in, we were out, we're back in. I like to stay in if the town is willing to participate with us in this project.
And it'll be a 5-year strategic plan in the end that they give us,
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we definitely stay in.
I'll second that.
Okay, yeah. Russell? Well, okay, so
and we
we're
do
in.
have the money in this year's budget, just so you know, Leslie and I.
Okay,
Look
so
through that,
Jamie,
so.
we're in, and I need to talk to you after the meeting too.
Yes, ma'am. And I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to working with these folks and letting them opportunity.
One question I've had people ask me, and I don't have the answer. What is going on with our little lettuce or whatever we call it?
So I would say they've been slowed down by COVID. Actually, their operations in Massachusetts has been sped up by COVID. Trying to move forward with site design and everything here, they put that on the back burner. We had hoped to start something in May. We pushed that to September now. I actually had some conversations with them and their engineers last week. So it is moving forward, but like everything else in life now, it's moving forward much more slowly than we would like. But
they're still coming.
I'll take any forward motion, I guess, and be happy with it.
Okay.
Now, when will this begin? What is the proposed beginning of this enterprise?
They should hear at the end of this month about whether
USDA
will fund their grant. It's about, I think, a little over $250,000 grant. If they fund it, they'll reach out with us with a timetable about when they can start. I imagine they probably would start rolling out the first calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get a better sense of a schedule from them when and if they're funded. But I anticipate they will be. They've been funded before.
Well, that's encouraging.
Pretty good if we were one of 8 in the nation.
Yeah.
That's true.
No. We'll drink to that anytime.
One of 8 in the nation.
Okay. So any other questions to Jamie before we move on to adjourning, since we have no need for a closed session? We'll meet again on October the 1st. Is there anything else that anyone would like to say, even though it's not on the agenda? The last word. Well, if not, let's enjoy our Labor Day, and is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Good, we are adjourned. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for your good reports. Always know when you come to something outside of our.
Yep. Second time.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Don't leave until Jamie's got a